This problem demos problem 6 from chapter 10. In that particular problem, our house was unfortunately struck by lightning and destroyed. We lost a total value of $350,000. Unfortunately, our homeowner's 2 policy only covered $325,000. So when we first bought our policy, perhaps our house was valued at just $325,000, but over time it's risen in value to $350,000, and we never upped the coverage amount on that policy. We also lost our detached garage and pool house for a value of $50,000. Now, detached property is covered under an HO2 policy as well, but not necessarily the full amount. It's only insured up to 10% of the value of the house, or the value of the insurance on the house. So we have a coverage amount of $325,000. We will only be covered up to 10% of that $325,000 for any detached property losses. So the most we can recover on our detached property is $32,500. Our personal property, we lost a total of $45,000. Personal property is covered under the HO2 policy up to an amount of half or 50% of the insured value of the property, which is $325,000. So the most we can receive as reimbursement for our personal property losses is this $162,500. Our losses were quite a bit lower than that, so we should get the full amount reimbursed for that personal property. Personal injuries, some injuries are covered under an HO2 policy, but not to the policyholder or family members. However, if for instance, your mailman slipped down your driveway and broke his leg, then a small amount of reimbursement would be paid to him for his personal injuries. But since you suffered personal injuries, according to the problem, your homeowner's policy will not cover those. Your homeowner's policy also doesn't cover losses in other areas like animals. So even though your dogs unfortunately died during the fire, you won't receive any reimbursement for them. You have been staying in a motel room for the last month or so since your house was destroyed, and an HO2 policy does offer some reimbursement for expenses that you incur since you can't live in your house, and that is 20% of the insured value, which is $325,000. So 20% times the 325, the most you can get for reimbursement for living expenses incurred is $65,000. So now I'm just going to come over here and compare the most they'll insure to my actual losses and figure out how much my reimbursement will actually be. And again, as usual, even though I'm doing this in Excel, you could easily do this with just pen and paper. Now, even though I lost $350,000, the most that's covered under my insured value is $325,000. I lost $50,000 for my detached buildings, but the most that's covered is $32,500, so I won't get any more than that. I only lost $45,000 on my personal property, but my insured value was $162,500, so since the insured value is higher than the actual loss, I will get all of my loss. My personal injuries, I won't get any sort of reimbursement, and for my dogs, I won't get any reimbursement. For my motel room, the most I can receive as reimbursement is $65,000, but my losses were far less than that, so I'll get reimbursed for all of my motel room expenses. If I just sum these highlighted columns, that will tell me the maximum that my insurance company will pay out on my policy. So $410,500. However, I have a $1,000 deductible. So the most I'll receive is that $410,500 minus the minus the $1,000 for a $409,500 reimbursement.